Hello, this is Mr. Daniels. We are talking Stargirl Chapter 4. And you know what? These chapters are so short. I'm going to try to weasel in 2 chapters here. Am I crazy? Am I insane? We're going to go chapters 4 and 5 all in one video. Let's get started. At Micah Area High School, Hillary Kimball was famous for 3 things: her mouth, the hoax, and Wayne Parr. Her mouth spoke for itself, most often to complain. The episode became known as Hillary's Hoax took place her sophomore year when she tried out for cheerleading. Her face and hair and figure were right enough, and surely she had the mouth. She made the squad easily, and then she stunned everyone by turning it down. She said she just wanted to prove that she could do it. She said she had no intention of yammering and bouncing in front of empty bleachers, which was usually the case. And anyway, she hated sports. As for Wayne Parr, he was her boyfriend. Mouth-wise, he was her opposite. He seldom opened his. He didn't have to. All he had to do was appear. That was his job. Appear. By both boys and girls standards, Wayne Parr was gorgeous. But he was more and less than that. In terms of achievement, Wayne Parr seemed to be nobody. He played on no sports team, joined no organization, won no awards, earned no A's. He was elected to nothing, honored for nothing, and yet, though I did not realize this until years later, he was Grand Marshal of our daily parade. We did not wake up in the morning and ask ourselves, what will Wayne Parr wear today? Or how will Wayne Parr act today? At least not consciously. But on some level, low awareness, that's exactly what we did. Wayne Parr did not go to football and basketball games, and by and large, neither did we. Wayne Parr did not ask questions in class and get worked up over teachers or pep rallies, and neither did we. Wayne Parr didn't much care. Neither did we. Did Parr create us, or was he simply a reflection of us? I didn't know. I only knew that you peeled off one by one all layers of the student body. You would have found that the core of the spirit of the school, but Wayne Parr. That's why in our sophomore year, I had recruited Parr for the hot seat. Kevin was surprised. Why him? Kevin said. What's he ever done? What could I say? That Parr was a worthy subject precisely because he did nothing? Because he was so monumentally good at doing nothing? I had only a vague insight, not the words. I just shrugged. The highlight of the hot seat came when Kevin asked Parr who was his hero, his role model. It was one of Kevin's standard questions. Parr answered, GQ. In the control room, I did a double take. Was the sound working right? GQ? Kevin repeated dumbly. Gentleman's Quarterly, the magazine? Parr did not look back at Kevin. He looked straight into the camera. He nodded smugly. He went on to say he wanted to become a male model. His ultimate ambition was to be on the cover of GQ. And right there, he posed for the camera. He had that disdainful model look down pat. And suddenly I could see it. The jaw square as the corner of a cover. The chiseled cheeks. The perfect teeth and hair. That, as I say, took place toward the end of our sophomore year. I thought that Wayne Parr would always reign as our Grand Marshal. How could I have ever known that he would soon be challenged by a freckled-nosed homeschooler? In Chapter 4, moving on to Chapter 5, obviously they're talking about Stargirl in that last sentence. Let's keep reading. Chapter 5. The call came from Kevin on a Friday night. He was at the football game. Quick! Hurry! Drop whatever you're doing now! Kevin was one of the few who went to games. The school kept threatening to drop football because of the low attendance. They said ticket receipts were barely enough to pay for electricity to light the field. But Kevin was screaming on the phone. I jumped in the family pickup and raced to the stadium. I bolted from a truck. Kevin was at the gate, windmilling his arm. Hurry! I threw the $2 admission at the ticket window and raced for the field. See better up here, he said, yanking me into the stands. It was halftime. The band was on the field, all 14 of them. Among the students, it was known as the world's smallest standing band. There weren't enough of them to form or recognize letters or shapes, except for a capital I, so they didn't march much at halftime of games. Mostly they just stood, in rows of 7 each, plus the student conductor. No majorettes, no color guard, no flag and rifle girls. Except this night. This night, Stargirl Caraway was on the field with them. As they played, rooted in their places, she pranced among the grass in her bare feet and long lemon yellow dress. She roamed from goalpost to goalpost. She swirled like a dust devil. She marched stiffly like a wooden soldier. She tooted an imaginary flute. She pogoed in the air and knocked her bare heels together. The cheerleaders gaped from the sidelines. A few people in the stands whistled. The rest, they barely outnumbered the band, sat there with a "What is this?" on their faces. The band stopped playing and marched off the field. Stargirl stayed. She was twirling down the 40-yard line when the players returned. They did a minute warm-up exercises. She joined in, jumping jacks, belly whomps. The team lined up for the second half kickoff. The ball perched on the kicking tee. She was still standing on the field. The referee blew his whistle, pointed to her. He flapped his hand for her to go away. Instead, she dashed for the ball. She plucked it up off the tee, danced with it, spinning it, hugging it, and hoisting it into the air. The players looked at their coaches. The coaches looked at the officials. The officials blew their whistles and began converging on her. The sole policeman on duty headed for the field. She punted the ball over the visiting team's bench and ran from field and out of the stadium. Everyone cheered. The spectators, the cheerleaders, the band, the players, the officials, the parents running the hot dog stand, the policemen, me. We whistled. We stomped our feet in the aluminum bleachers. The cheerleaders stared up in delighted surprise. For the first time, they were hearing something come back from the stands. They did cartwheels and backflips and even did a 3-tier pyramid. Old-timers, or as old as the timers got in the city as young as Micah, said they'd never heard such a racket. For the next home game, more than 1,000 people showed up. Everyone but Wayne Parr and Hillary Kimball. There was a line at the ticket window. The refreshment stand ran out of hot dogs. A second policeman was called in. The cheerleaders were in their glory. They screamed up at the bleachers, "Give it E!" The bleachers screamed back, "E!" We were the Electrons in honor of the town's electronics heritage. The cheerleaders ran through all their routines before the first quarter was over. The band was loud and peppy. The football team even scored a touchdown. In the stands, heads kept swinging to the edges of the field, to the entrance, to the street-lighted darkness behind the stadium. The sense of expectation grew as the first half came to a close. The band marched smartly onto the field. Even they were looking around. The musicians did their program. They even formed a small lopsided circle. They seemed to linger on the field, drawing out their notes, waiting. Finally, reluctantly, they marched to the sideline. The players returned. They kept glancing around as they did their warm-ups. When the referee raised his arm and blew his whistle for the second half to begin, a sense of disappointment fell over the stadium. The cheerleader's shoulders sagged. She wasn't coming. On the following Monday, we got a shock in the lunchroom. Bleach blonde and beautiful Mallory Stillwell, captain of the cheerleaders, was sitting with Stargirl. She sat with her, ate with her, talked with her, walked out with her. By sixth period, the whole school knew Stargirl had been invited to become a cheerleader and had said yes. People in Phoenix must have heard us buzzing. Would she wear the usual skirt and sweater like everyone else? Would she do the usual cheers? Did all the cheerleaders want this? Or was it just the captain's idea? Were they jealous? Cheerleading practice drew a crowd. At least 100 of us stood in the parking lot that day watching her learn the cheers, watching her jump around in her long pioneer dress. She spent 2 weeks practicing. Halfway through the second week, she wore her uniform, green trimmed, white v-neck cotton sweater, short green and white pleated skirt. She looked just like the rest of the team. Still, to us, she was truly not a cheerleader, but Stargirl dressed like one. She continued to strum her ukulele, sing happy birthday to people. She still wore long skirts on non-game days and made a home for her school desks. When Halloween arrived, everyone in her homeroom found a candy pumpkin on his or her desk. No one had to ask who did it. By then, most of us decided that we liked having her around. We found ourselves looking forward to coming to school, to seeing what bizarre antics she'd be up to. She gave us something to talk about. She was entertaining. And at the same time, we held back because she was different. Different. We had no one to compare her to, no one to measure her against. She was unknown territory, unsafe. We were afraid to get too close. Also, I think we were all waiting to see the outcome of an event that loomed larger and larger with every passing day. The next birthday coming up was Hillary Kimball's. Oh dear, it's game on, baby. Hillary Kimball's birthday coming up. What is Stargirl going to do? My guess is that Hillary is not going to want that happy birthday song. Do you think Stargirl will be bold enough? Well, shoot, man, if she's bold enough to run out there and steal the football and run around the football field, I bet she might be bold enough to do this. Keep reading on to find out the next exciting chapter 6 of Stargirl coming your way soon. Hey, thank you for listening to me here on YouTube. God bless everyone.